What is up, guys? Welcome to the first game of Ascension this year. It is going to be a banger. We've already seen comp switches coming into play right off rip, Tom, and that gets me excited. I know that Mini said they haven't had a lot of time to adjust to this new composition. We don't know how much practice ULF have had on it, but moving away from that double duelist, playing now with the Waylay, I love seeing new ideas on the surface.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a little bit sad that the Yoru's gone, because I like that sort of like that burst play, which we're going to get more so from the other side.
Yeah.
But I do think the Sky always has that additional little bit of information, those pop flashes that you can send out, especially on the defensive side. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they've got alongside it. They're lucky in the case that Fabian is one of those incredibly flexible players. Like, he seems to, even with how young this squad is, they seem to have players that are able to adapt quite well to whatever the current meta is at the time. So I'm excited to see ULF. And then on the other side for Job Life, it was something from talking to Starzo quite a bit that he was saying. It's like, you guys come in with all the pressure. We are coming in as a new group of players. We've got a couple of stand-ins. We've had 7 days of practice. No one expects anything from us.
Yeah, the pressure off, but the pressure on to start out this round. As Sup already takes down Stonesy. Starzo, though, holding up close. He has managed to slip past, or rather, they've slipped past him. But he knows he's the one playing under the radar, but the TP is taken. He'll be quickly on their tail, and it's a double for Starzo, chasing them through the teleporter, dropping the spike as well. And even with Kata picking up one, the main fight is here for the spike. A battle that Necky's giving himself a leg up in, but the shots don't land, and it comes crumbling down for ULF in the pistol round.
Yeah, a little bit of a shaky start. There was something that was mentioned on the desk that these youngsters, obviously we've seen them play maybe on the LAN stage, we've seen them play even recently versus Foot and have a pretty good result in that regard. But it is a different level. You're now playing to try and make it to the tier 1, and with a couple of 17-year-olds in the mix versus, I think one of those guys on the other side has won an event you might have heard of called Champignons, something like that.
Yeah, champignons. That's what they were saying in France, I believe. But yeah, it's a little bit of an aged victory. He's looking to climb back to that top of the bracket. It will be quite a journey, but it starts here at Ascension. A chance to not just prove yourself, but also to lock in that slot in VCT for next year. And for Job Life, a 1-0 start. And well, those hands aren't on the mice. I'm expecting we've got a little bit of a technical pause off rip. Of course, new setups down there. It's something we've come to expect with any EMEA.
Not gonna lie, I'm liking the walls of the coach room. I'm hoping I don't see too much of it, because that means we are probably in pauses if I look at the coaches. But someone's done some nice work with the design. But yeah, I think this is going to be very interesting. Obviously, if you've ever seen the Turkish broadcast or seen BBL, you know Vlad. You know quite a bit about what this guy has done in the past, always being around the Valorant scene in some capacity. But this is like a sort of new look for him. I was speaking to Echo about his addition, and I don't think there was any bad blood in their old coach, but it was like the bit in between where their old coach left and before he joined, they said that everything was a mess. Like, it just wasn't going to plan, like the structure had gone out the window. He joined and he got them back on track. So I think that's going to be quite an important thing throughout this journey is, yeah, these are a lot of incredibly young players. We saw it last year with BBL Pacific. The highs were very high, but then they crumbled at the last second. Keeping youngsters on track for a long time, or throughout the whole tournament, when maybe you start to believe that you can make it, etc., is going to be so important. And especially in their opening match, they're expected to be Job Life. Like, these are, firstly, even they beat the old team. Like, it was very, very close, but they beat the old team even when you had the likes of Purpo and Chiwa, who I think, if you've watched them play recently, have been insane. Starzo said himself, they're 2 best players at the time. And they brought in 2 other players and had 7 days to practice. Like, if you're not winning that game in an opener, it's definitely a little bit troublesome for ULF, because there's, like, that's probably the most exciting thing for me about this Ascension. I think every other year I've gone in and gone, Apex can win, maybe one other team can win. I don't know here. Like, I'd put the 2 Turkish teams at the top, but there's a lot of factors where I go, for ULF, it is inexperience. That's the main one. I think BBL Pacific have learned that, but then they also lost arguably their best player, although if you've spoken to anyone, they think LaRock might be that #1 in BBL Pacific. And then a lot of it, the second team especially, I think, for me, BBL Pacific is on a level, and then I think everybody else could battle for it, but maybe you put Enterprise. I think Enterprise is a good choice. So I think for a squad like Job Life, who have all of these issues, have all of these problems, maybe the pressure's not quite there as much, there's definitely potential for upsets with pretty much any team. And if you send ULF down, the next game doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, ULF have had one hell of a journey to get here as well. You got to give them their flowers for that. But now it's a different story, right? Being in the building, playing here on a LAN, playing with the stakes this high. And obviously for you guys, you can see there was an audio issue for the, I believe it was the coaches, being able to hear the players for Job Life. They still took the pistol round, so there's not too many notes to pass around at least. Nothing missed out on. But we should be resolved fairly shortly back into the game.
It was a coach audio issue, so I can't hear him anyway.
I think it's where the coach can't hear them.
Yeah, no, I know that, but what I mean is for the players, it's not going to affect them at all.
No,
if they can hear the coach, that's a much bigger audio issue. Starzone knows a little bit about that, going all the way back to 2020, but that's...
I'm not sure about that one. I mean, that's a legend. That's a legend. I don't know if we can get something on the record about that, Tom. Let's move swiftly on from that one.
Oh, is Ascend going to come after me?
Like, they might. They might. You don't want Ben on your tail. Okay, so I've got a little bit of an update as well. It will take just a second longer. You see the screens loading. Don't panic. Stop stressing. Yeah. It's okay. It is a round rollback, not to the pistol round, to round 2, because obviously, you put down your Yoru gate crash, it expires. That timer's ticking before the barrier goes up, so it has expired. So we just need to reset that utility, but don't worry, we'll come into round 2, same money, same abilities, and so on, and we'll be ready to get into this game very, very shortly. And like we said, for Job Life, this is a great start. They win the pistol. I love that play as well that we saw coming through from Starzone, the sneaky one, using the wall of his opponents to fly under the radar, get up close, and then quickly TP him behind them to grab a double. It was really nice from him, and I like seeing that confidence early on, even if it is just a pistol round. Yeah.
No, he was someone that I genuinely enjoyed having like a long conversation with about sort of this coming up event. He says like, because I think the biggest thing with a lot of the time, you might win a Champions, you have that high, and then it's the motivation to keep going. But speaking to him, he has the desire to win maybe more than anyone else in this tournament. Like, the guy wants to get back to the top. The grind, I think, has been enjoyable. And at least for me, there's two things I think of when I think of Starzone. I think this map is one of them. He's always been very good. And it was the Sky. I think the Sky. He's not playing the Sky, so I got one of the two. But
I'll tell you another thing about Starzone. I ran into him in the toilets, quite literally. He's come around the corner, and he's been working out. And he certainly had a bit of a buff to him to start out that first round. A second followed up on here as Sup is going to fall. But ULF managed to trade this back. A bit of over-aggression coming through from Stonesy. That's going to be costly, I suppose, if they lose more players. It's only the Marshal lost for now, and with 13 and 10 HP, this should be a quick conclusion with no further damage. Nicely done.
Quick stuff from them. The potential, if Kada can. Yep, he's found the Marshal as well. So they've managed to keep everything brought forward into the next round. But Binder's always one of those maps where I do worry a little bit more for a team coming up against weaker weapons. A lot of tight angles to fight off against. A lot of awkward positions that can sort of go amiss. Take, for example, going towards Lamps, going towards Hookah. That Stinger could still be very effective. Ultimate-wise, not particularly close to anything, though. Starzone is the closest, only 4 away, but realistically, the round is more likely to end. And on the other side, full rifles. Cheeky spot early from Stonesy, though, and I like the bait from Starzone. That's the idea. No one's here. No one's gone this far.
Yeah, I mean, that is a clear indication to ULF that you've got one player spotting for info, and the rest of the squad pushing elsewhere on the map, perhaps, unfortunately. Well, just like we saw in the pistol round, this happened to, believe it was Neki. A little bit of a whiff from Stonesy. Doesn't get the shot off on time. A shorty in that position, he's got a kill for free. But, well, the Sheriff, you got to be on the head.
Yeah, and more so, you don't get that split second when you're playing up against these Turkish youngsters.
No.
Sop's raw individual aim going peeking into Echo as well. He's someone I'm going to be hyping up throughout this tournament, I'm sure. Has been phenomenal playing on the Sentinel. This round so far has looked incredibly easy. It's just been those 2 opening picks.
The rotations are coming through, though. The two players still in Bath. It looks like ULF will be committing this towards the A site. That's where Starzo, yet to die, is standing and waiting, holding his ground. The shield that doesn't break! Starzo with a triple! He's given them a chance, a God-given opportunity, and it will be Shin to convert! 3-0! A beautiful start to the round from ULF, but a picture-perfect finish for Joblife.
Yeah, really impressive from Starzo. We talk about this guy as someone coming in with the sort of additional experience. He's not quite like unk status yet. I believe he's only 24, so we're not quite there yet, but being stunned up and managing to get so much. And this is something I miss. I don't know if you remember this, going back to those sort of champs days of him doing the workout exercises during the pauses. Like, this guy was always a showman. And I think he's really gone into play on the stage, because there's one thing being a showman in a room with your mates. It's another thing doing it when your opponents can see you.
Yeah, and well, we'll touch on that in a moment. We've already got a little bit of a battle brewing. Stonesy's gone pushing on A Bath. He's found himself an opening. The rest of the squad from ULF, Sheriff's in play. Looking to dive out of hookah. And I mean, look, it's a death sentence. Looking at what they're up against. You've already got the Viper wall, but even when it fades, there's still 3 players here. Getting anything on that dive is unlikely, and so they're waiting. Splitting 2 players towards long, looking for some individual fights, hoping that the Sheriff shots can ring true. For now, it's all about Joblife.
Missed opportunity, but Avian will be able to find the kill. Anything more, though, is going to be difficult. Yeah, a rifle retrieve, but doesn't have the additional shields. And while they've retrieved the spike, there's already been a rotation back from Shin. Just plugging in that extra ground, making sure that even if that space is taken back in the other direction, they're not going to find themselves a site for free. But if they do manage to get this pick, that'll be 2 guns, a plant, and a lot of potential.
Really down to Shin to survive, and on 10 HP. He's almost gone down. There it is.
Very nice.
Player dropped the TP from Sevov is going to even stop them from retrieving that weapon. The plant needed for backside, and Sop has to cover, stuck on that Sheriff. And now they're surrounded. Have to try to find a safe haven to fight from, and Avian doesn't really have that opportunity. He's out in the open. No flashes left to play with the dog, but it can't be put out. He's got to hold. Both these players relatively low. A good chance for Fabian. He finds the first, but Stonesy's quick on the Outlaw. A 3rd kill for him in this round, but more still to be done. Sop, he's been a little quieter on this waylay, but now time on his side as it ticks away faster and faster. The pressure on for Joblife. They know where he is. And Stonesy's going to close in that distance. The tap has to come through. It'll bait him in, but he's got them. He's caught them off guard completely. They're looking the wrong way. And Sop was the heavy traffic putting this close on the clock, and in fact, too close. A 4K for Stonesy, but he will go down in the end, and a clutch puts ULF on the board.
Yeah, really nice work from them in that 2vx scenario. I said how important Shin staying alive was. The second that dink is found, they knew it as well. They knew immediately how low he was going to be. But then Sop, again, another player we talk about as like, oh, it'll be exciting to see whether he plays next year. He's not going to be old enough still to play in the league next year until March. It doesn't look it. Like, that was super calm, calculated, knowing where he had to isolate the jewels, knowing exactly where that spike was planted, not panicking, not rushing. For a 17-year-old, well, for anyone it's impressive. For a 17-year-old, it's very impressive.
Yeah, especially in the biggest tournament that he will probably ever have thought that he'd be in.
Yeah.
Fighting for a slot in franchise, 3-0 down, and a resurgence like that, well, they got to build on those blocks, and unfortunately, it is an opening for Joblife again. ULF have an op of their own, though, and it is in the hands of Sop, looking for a free pick on the back of the site. He spotted the head, but they've seen his. Put him down to 10, and will at least get some shields back with the regen shield. But the advantage is compounding for Joblife.
I think he hit Starzo in there, though. Starzo's down to 45, so even though it looked like there was nothing to be had, he's managed to do some damage. I will say, since Stones has got a sniper, he's been impressive. But speaking of impressive, the Seaball praise, wow, he's got cover from Shin. Oda's baited into the fight. And while Neki, leader of the pack, IGL, I don't know what he's going to be able to find from here. He's at least got himself the spike. Being get past Starzo will be difficult. That's a first, but
30 seconds
you can
left.
see the immediate switch up of vision from the remaining players, and he is completely boxed in.
Yeah, there is nowhere to go at this point. He has to fight his way out, and the flank from Cadaver sure to seal this round. There it is, Job Life back to winning ways. A fourth on the board with 4 players surviving as well. And with those orbs claimed, with Seavoff being able to find a double and an orb, they now have that ult economy pretty much back to equal. Because we came in here, I think it was Nightfall online for Job Life, and that was it. ULF had 3 ultis to work around, but they didn't even get a chance to think about using them.
Yeah, and the worry now is, even though they have those ultimates available financially in the bin, so they could stick an ult in here, but they need the right timing. They need some sort of opener or maybe getting a gun in hand. I think as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but does that mean Stonesy has had every single kill he's had with the sniper? Because he got 4 in the previous round and 1 in this one. So I don't think he's done anything while not having a sniper in hand.
Being the outlaw on the hop.
Maybe that's the gun we should be looking out for. He's definitely the one I'd say that I know the least about going into this matchup. Obviously picked up last minute when Job Life were added back into Ascension, that 9th place finish being enough through interesting circumstances. But if he's going to be that, because that's always the thing with a lot of these duelists, especially on the defensive side, if you have a good sniper under your belt, completely change how the game is going. And to be honest, with Starzo's early frags, it was already going pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he was, what, 6-0 before he eventually went down? It's been a strong start for Job Life. Individuals online, it looks like their game plan is well put together. They've had good reactions to everything that ULF have thrown out. And even there in that previous round, the off being brought into play, that next to no impact except for, you know, tagging a player. We go 4-1, probably 5-1, but the round that ULF managed was with the Sheriffs. So let's not count them out as they come in here with 4 Sheriffs, 3 ultimates to work with. Although I suppose interestingly, the one ult that would really help here if you do get onto the site is that Viper's Pit to sort of level the playing field.
Yeah.
Although getting onto the site might be a little bit more difficult anyways.
Again, they could try and combo something together, but it would be a serious gamble to throw in like a convergent path or something like that. It's
not the round for it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. I've got the lurk of Echo attempting to try and find something, but again, Stonesy with that operator has been an absolute menace as well. I think Stonesy had a good idea where his opponent was. Nice shot at least, but damage can only do so much, and the immediate trade back from Shin. Well, Fabian again. 1 versus 4. Looking a little bleak here.
Yeah, I mean, even the plant, sure, a little bit of credits, but that ult door we often talk about, but he's already got his ulti secured. Looking to take someone down, find a weapon, but this time Shin won't be standing on the site waiting for the Sheriff shot to land on his head.
Left.
He's instead gone around, taking that control is short, and as soon as this plant is tapped, I'll have all the information to work with.
The thing is that the orb there is definitely just throwing him off. You see the orb go up and go, well, there's got to be someone here. There's no way someone on the other side of the map has just decided to put an orb up. But that's exactly what happened. 1 kill. Now, bear in mind, Stonesy's also incredibly low, but he needs something here and not going to happen. Cadaver, the man who was baiting him from the other side of the map, will be there to close out the round. And this is going to put every single one of those ultimates available for Job Life in the next.
Yeah, that's the awful part, right? We've had rounds with 4, now 3 players alive for Job Life. They've got that little bit of an economic boost. And now with the ult economy firmly in their favor as well, there really is no easy task for ULF. No clear path back into the game. They will have to forge it themselves. They're only 4 rounds down, but the worry is how far this can spiral from this point with the advantages in play. To be fair, this will probably be a round where we see all ultis online. It certainly could be Echo and Neki 1 away, everyone else already acquiring theirs, so a chaotic one. But if Job Life manage to find their way out of this storm unscathed, it will be a pretty devastating start for ULF. The upside, I suppose, being this is Job Life's map pick.
Oh. Okay. Oh, Shin's done well. It was an early bait out of the showstopper. Maybe expecting a reaction after Stonesy was pinged up.
Bomb buddy out.
An attack side operator yet to really have too much success in Seaworld. The second that boombot goes off, he reclaims the angle. with the operator on the other side facing into this would be a severe gamble, but with Shin going down, there may have to be a reaction. Nightfall used, but it's not going to hit onto anyone. They do, however, know that Lamps is clear.
And Sob's suspicious for good reason that there could be players around this area. Goes out with the classic. That's a brave play. Molly. Now into a 3v3, the advantage fading, the op gone. But that's the same on both sides. Oh, the spray so close for Starzo. Doesn't quite manage to land it. Ult goes through. It's caught too. Even though he's been hit by that Nightfall, but up behind comes Cadaver, taking advantage of the lack of sound in play for his opponents. Great snake bite, easy convert, and now it's down to Echo, alone, using his wall to isolate the battle, but he's being spotted, finds the burst, that takes another, a clutch for Ulf. That's how they're putting rounds on the board, but a round's a round, 5-2.
2 rounds and 2 1v2s to get them onto the board. Oh wow, Stonesy a little bit unlucky, just using his ult. I think the Nightfall went well, and the spam Ricardo was fantastic, but using that Viper screen just to isolate each one of those fights, incredibly well played from Echo. But you sort of mentioned it, the rounds have been few and far between, and more importantly, they've only been off the back of clutches. A loss here, or a return to, I guess, normal programming, will mean that their economy is reset for the second time.
Poison orb and poisons
and importantly, Job Life starting to show a couple of scars, a couple of bruises. This is the ult round. This is where we'll potentially see Convergence path thrown through. And Sob can always just back on out of here with the refract. He's clearing the space. Now they know that they've got full control of the lamps. They've managed to get that orbital strike out of the other side as well. For Ulf, this is a great round. Viper's Pits, both in play, contesting that space. Molly goes over and the spam from Cadaver is good. Hiding inside. It's going to be Seamoth and Shin with more, but hold on. Ulf aren't giving up just yet. They managed to take their lumps, take their bruises. The decay shown on Sop, but he's back close to full. And Echo still keeping that pit online, has now given them what could be the upper hand.
Yeah, I thought he might fake that, but he actually just sticks it all the way through. Kada making his way into the pit, but a pop out of the other side. There's 2 players, but they haven't managed to see him. The timing here is going to be everything. If that screen drops, it might just reveal them, and it will. That's Sop down. Another opportunity for Echo to try and take this home in the 1 versus 2. First one goes his way. Stonesy on the other side with an operator, but he's using this screen again just as an attempt to try and reposition. Gets back into the corner. It is masterfully played by Echo. Oh, well, only an echo of his past for his opponent to look towards. He was completely bamboozled.
Man, that's 2 clutches in a row for this guy as well. The 1v2 is something, but this one
down A.
Taking so much, finding a 3K, keeping that pit online when Cadaver gave up that space. Made such a huge difference. It bought them the time to use, and indeed the cover, to use the wall to creep up.
I'm guessing that's not a clip from after the clutch.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's from last, even last round was also.
I reckon that was mid-round.
It must be, it must be. There's no way that's your response to a clutch from Echo, who's now just putting up rounds for Ulf.
Echo has single-handedly reset the opponent's economy. So I was saying, they're only winning rounds with 1 player alive. Well, if that 1 player does that a couple of times, it's enough. And that's all 5 ultimates in the last 2 rounds expended by Job Life. The same for the other side, but if you win both rounds, I don't think you're going to mind anywhere near as much, and it's safe to say that Ulf Viper's Pit was instrumental in their victory.
Without a doubt, yeah, those 2 rounds, I look at Echo. The one before was a good finisher, but that one, the previous round that we saw him play, round 8, that's got him written all over it. Phenomenal display. Job Life, they're reading into the noise, the lack of,
the spike. As
an A hit. And this is a round where you're going to gamble a little bit more, put the numbers on one side of the map, leave a bookie behind to hold down that space. And in fact, they go to A, they make some noise, they show themselves so that Ulf, if they have someone lurking here, get the read that there's a lot of players A. And there's an immediate rotate after Job Life give that info away. So now they're actually stacked up on the very site that Ulf looked to hit.
30 seconds.
This fight on the other side could be integral. You got the push through, but they're already committing. I thought they might wait a little bit longer. And I think they have. They've gone for the rotation. Still 1 player here, though, on the other side. Fabian's been able to catch Shin. And the main player is going to be Cadaver. Can he do anything? Isn't able to stop that spike, but Echo is aware. Thought there could still be someone here. Nice shot from Seawolf. And bear in mind, Echo already tag low. Does have some support, though. And Now Seawolf is just as low. A push forward from Echo gives an opportunity, but that opportunity quickly slips away. A triple for Ordaz. And ULF now climbing. 4th round for them.
You see an echo, indeed, of what Seawolf was able to deliver in some of his debuts down on the VCT EMEA stage during this year, but it's not quite enough. I love that from Ordaz. It is an audacious play indeed to stick around on B, to go pushing into the smoke up against the low buy when they've already called for the rotate because it's stacked up. But that ballsy play got them a double. It got rid of any real danger in that round. Yeah. And a timeout now from JobLife, a team that seemed to have full control over the game. They had their ults online, they had their economy, and they had a win streak. That's all been shut down now, and we're down to a gap of 1.
Well, I think the problem they've had is the problems you're going to have when you've got 2 stand-ins and a team that's had a week practice. Like, they could be clear. They could have already won this half if they managed to close out those clutch rounds, which again, if those are players that you are seeing not used to playing in those scenarios, we didn't really see them group up. They gave opportunities to players, well, to Echo, to clutch out those rounds. And I also feel like his lurks in general have been super impactful. Like, think of the post plants they've had. They've mostly been on the A site. And in a lot of the cases, they weren't committing to the A site initially. It was him taking space, getting into those positions. And I do think at times, although if you look at the scoreboard, it's been going pretty well for Shin, I think he's had moments where either he's pushed far enough that he doesn't have the site anymore, or he's lost one fight that actually turns the round.
Yeah, back to the Sheriff round. That was where that blow was dealt for ULF. You mentioned Echo's ability to take that space. This time it's going to be Sop who's going up through bathroom, a spot that hasn't been that heavily contested by the attacking side. And what? Echo's just gotten one straight through the smoke. Seawolf, I think, attempting to take the orb. He wanted his ult online, and you know what? He's got it, but they'll have to wait for the next round to use it. That's so unlucky.
Even now. Even.
He was trying to spray the dog, and he ends up getting both. Sop's got to be furious.
Oh, there you go. I feel like swings and roundabouts. Both teams getting a kill through smoke. Sop's definitely having a tougher time, but I feel like that can be the case with Waylay, these aggro dives. A lot more of a focus on him now that they're not running the double duelist, but I do think that could help them quite a lot on the defensive side. Having the Sky, having the information without having to be too aggressive, that's where we've seen them struggle a little bit more, is that defense. So I wonder if we'll see more of what this change to the composition will be. Even still though, Stonesy's operator has been a threat. He's been tagged very low though.
30 seconds left.
He's looking for that peek on long still, but one player's already snuck out. Echo's closing the distance as Neki goes down. Have they accounted for this? For a player already crossing, they should know the space given up. Cadaver's gone down, Stonesy as well. This is a disaster. We look to Starzo, the hero of those early rounds, but he's only able to put up the one, leaving it onto Shin. That TP gives away exactly where he is. The information there for ULF, and now they've got him trapped in hookah. A firing squad, a high-low setup, beautiful work. In the end, it is 5-5. Somehow ULF have managed to come back to neck and neck.
I want to see the kill on Takada, because from my perspective, that was either Ordaz pre-firing that corner that he was hiding on the very edge of a smoke, or did he jump down and then get him? Oh no, yeah, he just pre-fired the edge. I think he might have saw the gun barrel in the edge of the smoke. But that kill was everything, because Kada's position was nasty. Like, it was a dirty little angle off the corner of the smoke, and it was just Ordaz having a fantastic read. He's had a great couple of rounds, and after a very slow start, a 5-1 lead for JobLife. ULF are most certainly back.
Now those weak weapons for JobLife used towards bathroom, and they run right into the operator of Neki. I like this from Starzo though. Those players going deep, and oh yes, it's worked perfectly. They're not even looking at Starzo. A sneaky play indeed. Sop trying one of his own. He's gone deep, but the Boombot spotted him. The Nightfall back to clear out Bath. It's not going to get to back sight. Seawolf running around. Showstopper in hand. He's got just enough time, but it's not a direct hit. Sop dodges the ultimate. Oh, he's in the open. The judge takes him. The Sheriff finds another 5 HP. Cadaver's taken down in the end. A chaotic round, but one where ULF continue to find success.
Before the switch.
We removed that round from the pod. That was just chaos. Like, you have the sheriff kills, you have a showstopper that almost seems like he got nutmegged, and then you've got Soft spinning on a dime and getting 3 before Kada then almost clutches a 1v3. I mean, he runs out of bullets. Like, oh, a cursed round, and yeah, I think that's the exact word I'd use to describe it. 6-5. ULF have claimed the lead. The Job Life now come back in with a buy to try and equalize going into the half.
Well, a team that was 5-1 up now has to fight to be neck and neck. This is an incredible resurgence from ULF, and I think especially with young players who don't have the experience of playing at this level. For these stakes, it's huge to have this confidence boost early on, to have that recovery. Now, Echo has been baited in. And Job Life have been setting a few of these traps, I mean Starzo in particular, but just like in the previous round, it's SOP to bring the advantage, maybe not quite back to them yet, and indeed it won't find its way into their hands. Kadavra shutting down the operator and putting a 4v3 into play.
Yeah, he's impressed me, someone who had a bit of an extended break. I think he even talked about retirement.
Yep.
Doesn't look it. 13-7 currently in the server. Neki taking a little bit of damage, but into the 3v3, it's almost completely even. A chance to get the Seekers online for Fabian if he's the one to plant, but seems like they're almost trying to bait. Seevolf hasn't fallen for it. In fact, he's waiting, and maybe a little bit of an overextension for Ordos. That is the pit down. But now they're boxed in. This is looking like an impossible scenario. The scoreline will be equalized. A solid resurgence from ULF, but it was equal in the end for Job Life.
Yeah, neck and neck, hard to separate these teams. Great display from Kadavra in that first half. Starzo was almost unkillable to start out the half, but we are 6-6, which means you want to tune in for the second half after the break. Well, we've certainly seen that ULF are not a team to give up, even when they're behind. 5-1 down, and it felt like all momentum was on the other side of, well, the stage, sort of. And when it's 6-6 now on the board, again, look at sort of the momentum shift into their favor, especially as that younger team. I think that's going to carry them far, but they're going to have to continue it with a pistol round.
Already pressured off the angle. The Starzo to kick things off, but going into that attack side half, I have to look towards Seevolf and Stonesy to see what they've got. Stonesy, of course, was mostly getting his kills with the sniper in the previous half. My expectation will be on the Aura. It's not going to be the same, and while Sop, maybe a chance for him to shine. Already a double in this one. Wow, they're going to fall away from him, and I can understand why.
Oh, not even a lick of damage onto him. Big advantage early on. Damage done to Starzo and Shin. It'll make it a bit more of a bite-sized battle. But the stack up on B, the adjustment from ULF makes this even more difficult if they do continue in this direction. Stonesy's the only one making noise here, though. Popping a flash out, making it look like that's where they want to take the hit to. But that fake has been read plain as day. Sop's ready for the players coming back through. He's left Starzo just one hit to any weapon, left. And the rotate's already in from Neki. He doesn't quite get there in time to catch Starzo. Ooh. Catches a bullet and a bit of info.
Yeah, he's now got to be a little bit more careful. They're expecting some form of aggressive peak, especially with the players already being a little bit tagged up, and well, that's the other reason to wait for that Sky. Having the additional heal, leaving them that little bit lower, but with the upgraded pistols on the other side, definitely still opportunities here for Job Life. But they are slowly being revealed, slowly being boxed in. It's mainly the position of Starzo that could have an opportunity and instead picked apart. And Ordaz, with the final blow once again, is now the lead to be claimed by ULF after a pretty horrific start in the first half. Got an opportunity here.
It certainly looked like a damning start. It's really impressive that they managed to make this bounce back happen. And now sitting at 7-6, pistol round under their belt, the easy work ahead of them with the hard work already done. It's just going to be the anti-eco to bring this 8-6. And the beautiful thing, what I was touching on when they were behind by so much, is like, well, this is Job Life's map pick, right?
Yeah.
ULF have come in, they've changed their composition as well. Not even just the agents in it, but even the identity of it. This changes a lot for them. There's a lot to adapt to. But when we go to Haven, somewhere that they'll feel much more comfortable. They've got, I think, the most reps on it out of every map in the pool. That's going to be huge for them. If they can go there with a map under their belt already, hell, I thought it would be enough that they'd be able to bounce back there. But they may be able to close out.
Yeah, I think expectations coming in here were that they'd be the victor of this series. Mainly due to circumstance more than anything else. You do wonder if Purpo and Chiwo were here, if it would have been a different story. As said, they did beat them over in Challengers anyway, so it's not like it would have been a massive surprise if they had. Stonesy, though, this is the interesting gun in the round. He's bought up into the sniper. The rest of the team left with a pittance to work with, but as I said, the sniper has been phenomenal for him so far.
They've got to deal with Ordaz on the side, but there's plenty of bodies here to overwhelm him! It has to be Stonesy to finish him off. What an incredible play from Ordaz, and he's just sealed the round like that. Echo with a jumping judge to close, but it was a formality, surely.
I don't know if that's how the judge is supposed to work, but hey, it works like that for him. Still, decent amount of damage. I think Ordaz is really starting to impress me, though.
Unreal.
Yeah, he gets the second player first. I had a feeling that was the case.
I think Stonesy was hit in that first fight to 10 HP, so that's obviously being called. And that gives you that little bit of confidence that I think the judge does 10 damage at any range towards elbow.
Oh. The attack now come in with a pretty decent buy, and they've gone for heavy shields on every single player. You can understand why. Look at the guns on the other side. They knew that that had been dropped over.
Didn't know they'd bring 2 in.
Yeah, that's true. But I think Sop had his from the previous round. So it's like, unless they didn't see the other one picked up.
Yeah.
But even still, you're going to know there's risks taken. You know there's a judge. So this is a round where I feel like especially Starzo's utility is going to be the most important. And already, that will be the second Prowler gone. And it doesn't really, it tells them there's no one close, but it doesn't tell them there's nobody here at all. That was a lot of damage done.
Well, I mean, he had to land 2 shots onto Sevov, and it was another connection onto Stonesy. This has made it a very difficult round, with these outlaws still lurking. The judge looking to even just tag a player up for 10, and he's done it. Starzo now vulnerable to that outlaw as well. That's a nasty strategy. It's a buy that I can certainly get behind. You'll even see that shorty for Fabian. He'll be running out with flashes, but hold on. Job Life able to respond nicely.
Look at them now.
Stop onto Stonesy. Leaves everybody low. And he's making a play for the site. Got his refractor back on out. A third for Sop. The outlaw, and no one's able to take him down. Unshackled. And a classic. Could be enough to close this round out. Hell, look at that shorty for Fabian.
Yeah. A shorty on the other side, but he didn't have his gun out. Kata's position now revealed. It would have to be the ace for Sop. He knows where his opponent is, but Shin is just too quick on the trigger. An incredibly dangerous round and an insane amount of damage done by those outlaws.
We're ready.
It is going to make things incredibly costly for the side of Job Life. But after the initial peak almost took down 2 players, I think they'll be happy to get out of that one alive.
Yeah, well, I think so. This was about as shaky of a start as you could see, it looked destined to be Ulf's round. But when you do take into account what they brought to play, it's a shaky round.
The funny
it's not
thing
what you want to see going their way.
In the first half, I mentioned the fact that Sop was struggling. He's now top of the board. Just from these defensive rounds, having the sniper. This is where he's going to have his true value, being able to be aggressive. They used to do it with the Yoru as well, but now a lot of it comes down to him. So he's going to be set up. He's going to be the focal point, and we've already seen highlighted by the desk. This man is a star. You got to be careful.
But now with the big weapons in hand, you think they have a better chance. Nightfall goes through. They know where Fabian is, but they can't deal with him. And Necky's got to double the sight. Holding strong as Fabian goes right.
Wow.
The wall, flashing with the bird. And Ulf's morale's got to be sky high now, off to a flying start in this half.
Do you think he's nervous? There was a lot. We were talking a lot about.
I saw that.
About the youngsters being.
He's playing
nervous.
a bit too scared, you know.
So in the 2v5, he flashes through a Viper screen and just 1v2s them just for banter, really. There's no need. There's absolutely no need. Oh, I think I'm going to enjoy watching this team throughout the tournament. It's already been incredibly fun.
I mean, that is straight up salt in the wounds. You'd already lost the round, but now really gets
just be sat there like, why?
Yeah, why do you do that? Jack Igo, he had the camera angle set up for that one. He knew what was coming.
Yeah. Was he singing while he was doing it, though? That's the real question.
No, he's going to sing afterwards. Following Jack's rulebook. No, it's not. I hate to show you behind the curtain here. Cadaver performing a little bit of magic. He's found himself one onto Echo, got a rifle. It's given straight to Starzo. That's at least something to write home about.
Can we talk about where Echo was while up against an Eco?
We could.
You see the blue cross on the map, guys?
Yeah.
That's not where I expect a player to be when they're facing off against pistols, and it might come back to bite them. Unless Fabian just keeps doing stuff like that. He's gone back out! I thought he'd go the other way! This guy's just trying to style, but the fact is it's come down to Starzo facing off against Necky. Timing's going to be everything. He needs to try move himself away, and he's been spotted. But he has managed to make it back around the box. He might even start to expect that middle, his flank, is going to be the place, and the fact is Necky actually going to give away his position because of it.
He thinks he's
now doesn't know where Starzo has gone to.
Or late short. Oh, what a play by Starzo, just standing still. He's outbrained him by doing nothing. That's so sad, because obviously you're not seeing the player walk back to the box. You think he's gone bath, you Prowler bath, he's not there, he's not revealed on tall box. He must be coming on a late flank through short, just like Echo was, except that was a very early flank through short. I mean, the reality is, one thing that you talked about here, Tom, because I do think that Echo going down is a focal point. It's the first pillar falling, an element of support failing, but he had a lot of value playing exactly like that the first half, but up against the Eco, might have been a bridge too far.
Yeah, a little bit over the top.
I love that.
Yeah, it's all the way back to the other side of the map, but the game doesn't go like, oh yeah, you go back through the TP.
Can't reverse the TP.
Fabian started to come into his own a little bit, but
portal closed.
fact is a little bit more tentative in this round. I think after the aggression and after it failing, you can understand why. Another huge round from Starzo, by the way, 20 and 13, a 4K to give them a round they desperately needed. The spam, though, Marauders has done damage, but he has taken some in response.
Poison's off.
45 on the clock. Job Life drifting towards this A site. You've still got those three in play. I wonder where the orb, there we go, the orb is going up. Thinking the toxins have to be close to being refreshed, and now they're in play. The snake bite down, this is slowing them, running that clock even further. Well played by Ulf. Echo playing on his wall, waiting for them to step forward. That's the spike drop, and he keeps going! Echo again, finding so much value for Ulf, and I think he's gifted them the round win with 14 seconds left. Stonesy has a 1v3, spike not planted.
10 seconds left.
And not even on him. This round is done. It looks like he wants damage, but instead he'll take a shot to the head really well done by ULF and by Echo. This guy is putting up so many important rounds for ULF, really the beating heart of this team on Vine.
It just feels like everything about his gameplay is just nasty. Like his crosshair placement, disgusting. His flick to headshot accuracy, disgusting. But the thing that's impressed me most at the moment is his positioning. Like the guy is constantly moving into spots where it's like isolated fight, isolated fight, isolated fight. Like he's making sure he's never open to like multiple angles, and a lot of that is off his own utility that he's placing up at the same time. We saw it a lot in both of those 1v2s in the first half. Like it was him going, okay, if I put my screen up here, I can isolate this guy and then take the fight versus the other guy. Like that's such a huge amount of individual intelligence. Again, for someone who is 17 years of age and playing up against players who have, well, for the majority been in the tier 1 scene and faced off against the very best. It is cause for concern as JobLife are going to take themselves a tactical timeout. And well, they're going to make this one count.
Yeah, I mean, we're running out of runway at this point. At 8-10, considering the spot that we were in for JobLife starting out this game where they looked untouchable. They looked uncontested. Hell, Starzo went so many rounds without dying, and it wasn't because he wasn't taking fights. He was battling and brawling. And now it's a completely different story. Sure, Starzo's still doing well, 20-14. Cadis had a phenomenal debut here. The Viper, it's always reliable for Kadavra. He's comfortable on it, as you can see. But you look at the other side, Sop had a bad first half. Now he is here to play the round where JobLife put their credits on the line, and look what they're up against. The Viper's pit already, but it's going to be the showstopper activated by Seavoff, an attempt to, oh, fire, blind! And he catches Fabian. A game of battleships, and Fabian sunk, a weapon's picked up, and now JobLife looking that little better with a Viper's pit put into play.
Everything.
And there's no counter pit. It was used early by Echo, but he still grabs one through it. Oh, another!
Okay, he might be cheating. We're going to have to check him PC after this one, because that's ludicrous. Hasn't managed to find the Viper, but it's going to give them so much space. They've used the Molotov to delay, even the dive through, but that's mostly for information. Seavoff's doing well, but there's Sup. A little bit of a nasty surprise, and an even nastier one for Cannon. There's nowhere really to go. 5 HP, just on the edge of the pit. At least being able to retrieve the spike. The players on the other side, I think they're almost fully committed to the idea their opponents might just be going back the other way.
They've lost the pit now, especially with 5 HP. That's a big disadvantage for Kadavra.
All the way round.
They were looking for the fight, expecting these players to be close short, now worried about them already wrapping through the elbow. There's no information to play with.
They still haven't planted.
And with this super late flank, you're not going to expect anybody to be in here unless they've taken the TP. Neki should have them completely blindsided. Kadavra's not looking. He's 1 HP in the open. It is an easy kill. And now it's all onto Shin. Hiding behind the box, he'll at least dodge the reveal. But any space towards the spawn would be him running into the operator. He only knows about a single player being inside hookah. No information on where Audaz has snuck his way into. Good shot to start. But now the other two players have the info. Shin, he's got all 3! Saving JobLife with a clutch.
I genuinely can't believe that he's managed to close that one out. We talked about this man in the past and his clutch capabilities when in VCT. Probably the greatest clutch we slightly missed.
Wow. Oh.
But the fact is, I think he said he's not too happy about that one.
I think he was saying nice try.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
That's how I say nice try as well, while slamming a desk. But yeah, that's a rough one to lose. Shin did incredibly well though, isolating every single fight, and I think up until that point, the ULF players did fantastically. Like, to actually box them in, the plan was great. It was just not figuring out where he was quick enough.
I mean, at the end of the day, the Scooby-Doo, well, the Fred strat, I suppose, split up and looked for clues. Not a bad one. In that instance, I love how they played it.
I don't remember Scooby saying.
I think it's Fred's strat, but Scooby's always got the short end of the stick, just like ULF did in that previous round. Now, Sop diving out onto the side, claiming some space and finding a couple of picks. It looks like ULF, well, they've somehow managed to win the hard round with Fabian picking up a 4K. What? This team needs to be studied.
Can we rewind the desk slamming into like a cheer? Because like, I don't even know. He must almost be like bipolar at this point, because you've just watched your team lose seemingly an unlosable round and then easily win what looked like an unwinnable one. They came in with mostly pistols. Fabian, like, I'm having to change who the player is that's been the best in this game, because everybody keeps stepping up. Like, the last few rounds, he's been unstoppable playing with the Bulldog in this one, finding 4. And there we go. A smile on his face, finally. 11-9. It's been a back and forth one, but this could be the final straw that breaks the camel's back. It has put Job Life into an awful bye. And unless they've got some magic of their own, I think we might be getting towards the end of the map.
Certainly is feeling like it. The economy here for the attacking side being saved for the next. They're going to look for 3 straight rounds. Again, not a terrible strategy. But it does mean that ULF are teed up for success with 3 chances to close it if they win this one. And there's a big reason for the if. Sevov taking down Echo. Again, getting a little aggressive up against this weak buy, and it has cost him in 2 rounds so far in this defensive half.
That's been the peculiar thing, because a lot of his like passive defense on A has been fantastic.
Yep.
I think it's just because they gambled so heavily onto the A side. They wanted the info, but that really wasn't worth the risk. Shin.
I have the spike.
Does at least still have a gun. That's the one sort of piece they have for this now.
Like, the thing is, the position he was in, you get more info by playing inside of Lambs, but that Viper wall is sort of robbing you of it, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to play ahead of it. Just an idea that has fallen flat, but still, the weaponry advantage is there. Fabian thinking about the flash. He's even thinking about walking out. That would be a mistake. Smoke's being watched up close. Good flash, and they've TP'd immediately.
Oh, Nightfall used.
Stonesy goes down. And the Nightfall burned up, but with the shots hit by Audaz, any worries seem to have just disappeared.
It feels like an aim training routine half of the time when we're watching them. Like, it's like, okay, we put these 2 tiny 1mm dots on your screen. If you could just shoot them within half of a second, that would be really cool. It's absurd. It's just the reactions of these guys are ridiculous. You can slow it down 10 times and it's still going to look difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it really is so quick. A little double tap out of him. Oh, they are getting excited down there. 3 rounds now needed for Job Life. 3 chances for ULF to lock in this map. And let's not forget, this is a map that hasn't been looking good for them in recent history. It's a map that their opponents picked, and with Haven up next, a map that they've played a lot and won a hell of a lot. This is a very scary time to be a Job Life fan. It looks like failure to start out this story, and Echo again finding himself the triple! He's finally put to bed, but surely he's done enough.
Slowing them down.
Sop in behind as well. He can escape all the way back to the other side of the map.
I love it.
Just put some doubt in the minds, but also they will have heard him falling back and may even start to doubt that there's still going to be 2 players coming from the flank. They are isolated fights, though. A good opportunity for someone like Starzo or Kadabra. We've seen in these scenarios already come up big when needed, but Starzo has turned his back, now facing into the enemy, and he loses that initial fight. It's all up to Kada to keep them in this map.
Kadabra against 3. They don't know where he is. That's at least something, but now it looks like they do. He's run through, but he can't find the second. Audaz sealing the deal for ULF. It will be a 1-0 start. The map pick of Job Life stolen by a team that started 5-1 down.
Yeah, really impressive display coming out of these youngsters, having that extra resilience. But if this is your first sort of look at a team like ULF, I think you got a very good first look. A lot of individual brilliance, a lot of fun had in this first map. And